For non-United States citizens seeking to establish a business presence in the U.S., forming a limited liability company, LLC, can offer significant advantages, including liability protection and operational flexibility. While LegalZoom is a popular online legal service for forming LLCs, the process for non-U.S. residents requires careful navigation of specific requirements. This explanation will outline the essential steps involved in utilizing LegalZoom to form an LLC as a non-U.S. citizen, presented in a clear and straightforward manner. The process. Identify the desired U.S. state for formation. You will need to choose a U.S. state in which to register your LLC. Popular choices for non-residents often include Delaware, Wyoming, and Nevada due to their business-friendly laws. Consider factors such as annual fees, reporting requirements, and the state's legal framework when making your decision. LegalZoom will require you to select a state during their LLC formation process. Provide necessary information to LegalZoom. LegalZoom's online platform will guide you through a questionnaire to gather the details required for your LLC formation documents. As a non-U.S. citizen, you will need to provide LLC name. You will need to propose a name for your LLC that complies with the chosen state's naming regulations. LegalZoom will typically check the availability of your chosen name. Registered agent. Every LLC in the U.S. is required to have a registered agent with a physical address in the state of formation. The registered agent is responsible for receiving legal and official documents on behalf of your LLC. While LegalZoom offers registered agent services for an additional fee, you can also appoint a third-party registered agent service, or if you have a physical U.S. address, potentially act as your own registered agent, though this is often less practical for non-residents. Member/owner information. You will need to provide your personal details, including your full legal name and address, which can be your non-U.S. address. You will also specify your ownership percentage in the LLC. Purpose of the LLC. You will generally need to describe the business activities your LLC will engage in. Provide a U.S. address, if required. While you, as the owner, can have a non-U.S. address, some states might require the LLC itself to have a U.S. address for official correspondence, even if the registered agent has a separate address. LegalZoom's platform will guide you based on the requirements of your chosen state. Utilizing their registered agent service can sometimes address this requirement, as they will have a physical address in the state. Obtain an employer identification number. EIN. An EIN is essentially a social security number for your business. It is required by the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, for various purposes, including opening a U.S. bank account and hiring employees, if applicable. As a non-U.S. citizen, you will typically need to apply for an EIN directly with the IRS after your LLC is formed. LegalZoom usually provides guidance on this process, but does not obtain the EIN on your behalf for non-U.S. residents. Review and file formation documents. LegalZoom will prepare your LLC formation documents, typically called the Articles of Organization or Certificate of Formation, based on the information you provide. You will need to review these documents carefully for accuracy. LegalZoom will then file these documents with the relevant state authorities on your behalf. Operating agreement. While not always legally required by the state, an operating agreement is a crucial internal document that outlines the ownership structure, management responsibilities, and operating procedures of your LLC. LegalZoom typically provides a template for an operating agreement that you can customize. Tip for non-U.S. citizens. Secure a U.S. bank account. Opening a U.S. bank account is essential for conducting business as a U.S. LLC. Be prepared to provide your LLC formation documents, EIN, and potentially personal identification and proof of your non-U.S. address when applying for an account. Some banks may have specific requirements for non-resident business owners, so it's advisable to research and contact banks that have experience working with international clients.